Welcome to our course on unpacking consumer behavior. I'm Shelby Walsh, the president of Trend Hunter, and today we're going to be looking at how lifestyle shifts are occurring within your consumer segments. On top of that, I hope to give you some tools to better find white space opportunities for your brand when it comes to consumer behavior. I want to kick things off with something a little bit different. I want to start off playing a little bit of a game. Now, I'm going to be playing an ad. And what I want you to do is look for anything strange or see how many changes that you can spot within this advertising campaign. Ready? Let's go.
To test just how much attention the attention-stealing design of the new Skoda Fabia actually steals, we left one parked on this ordinary road in West London. We wanted to see if its sharp crystalline shapes, bold lines and lower, wider profile would attract the desired level of attention. Will the 17-inch black alloy wheels stop passers-by in their tracks? Will the angular headlights attract the attention of other road users? Will a crowd gather to check out its fresh, sporty look? Well, not quite. But did the attention-stealing design distract you from noticing that the entire street has been changing right before your very eyes?
How many changes did you spot in the video? 2, 4, 10 or more? Let's see how good you were at paying attention.
Have another look. Did you spot the van changing to a taxi? How about the scooter changing to a pair of bicycles? Or the lady holding a pig? Let alone the fact that the entire street is now completely different. Didn't think so.
What I just did was run a little experiment with you on change blindness. So change blindness is the fact that our brains have so much information and data being input on a daily basis. We suffer from cognitive overload, so we make concessions. We forget a few things. We don't notice some of the smaller changes in our lives. The fact of the matter is, there's many shifts happening in today's world and a lot of changes we need to take note of. Whether they're consumer changes, geopolitical changes, technological, or even industry changes like more direct-to-consumer brands or e-commerce. We have to keep track of all these changes so we don't miss the proverbial changes happening on our own street. But all this, it's easier said than done. It's so easy to miss big shifts because of these smaller changes occurring that are building up to them. Things like digitization, e-commerce, or if you're MySpace, the opportunity to buy Facebook for $73 million. Or if you're MySpace, the opportunity to buy Facebook for $75 million. Now, they were an industry leader when it came to social media. They invented the social web. They weren't worried about the future incumbents that were hot on their tails, leaving room for Mark Zuckerberg to take over. Now, the fact of the matter is we're making millions of small decisions every day in our lives. And often we're relying on things we've seen before, we've done before, we know that other people have done to become successful. But today, in our course, what I want to do is break out of those neurological traps and instead give you tools to help innovate and break through change blindness. Now, one of the ways I want to do this is through leveraging our megatrend divergence. So what does Trend Hunter define as divergence? For us, we define it as a method of ideation that goes deliberately against the mainstream. Now, there's always dominant major trends out there, but more often than not, divergent trends follow not that far behind. That's why we see things like the tension between connected living, but also digital distrust. We don't want to share all of our data. The quest for wanting to be eco-friendly, but also wanting everything to be convenient. Authenticity versus living that picture-perfect life. Traditional versus new age media. It turns out when we went to our clients, a lot of them use divergence for trend hunting and spotting opportunities as well. And one of our clients, Betsy Armentrout at Coca-Cola, basically works as an internal VC for the organization. When I hopped on the phone with her and was chatting, I found out that they use divergence very heavily, but what they call this pattern is actually trend tensions. They can be geopolitical, opposing behaviors, beliefs, or even technological changes. But all of them present white space opportunities for the brands listening to this course here today. Now, we've delivered dozens of reports on trend tensions for Coca-Cola and other brands we've worked with. But today, this is what's inspired the course that I want to walk you through. I want to unpack consumer behavior through the lens of trend tensions. And I want to look at 4 key areas. First, let's look at the mind and the tension between me versus we, individualism versus collectivism. Next, we're going to look at personal brand and JOMO versus FOMO. Now, if you don't know what those things are, that's totally fine. By the end of this course, you absolutely will. Next, we'll look at social circles, IRL versus URL, online and offline forms of communications and how those are shifting. And lastly, we'll look at the body, natural versus engineered.